Superb, gentlemen. Firstly, thank you so much for being with us today. I appreciate how busy you are. And really, we wanted to explore how did the Dubai Association Centre come about? How does it fit into Dubai? Why did we do that in the first place? And where you see the future going? So maybe I can ask Helal, how did the idea of the Dubai Association Centre first come about?
So first of all, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Dubai. I have to do the 30-second pitch as I'm the head of tourism. I hope all of you enjoy your stay here, and we hope all of you become advocates and come back with your family and friends. That's the usual pitch I give. The association centre, it actually started off with these type of meetings. We hold here annually a lot of large-scale association conferences, and every time, the conversation was the same with the associations. It was about, the drought of knowledge sharing in the region, how when you look at the wider region of Africa, Middle East, and Asia, we have so many people coming and attending these type of conferences for the first time, attending these type of training events for the first time. Could there not be something more permanent? Could there not be more permanent chapters here? And that's really how it was born. And then we started to look at, well, how easy is it for people to set up? And we visited a few places like Brussels and others, and we looked at the number of associations there. And we started to think, well, when you think of it from Dubai's position, this could be a place where it could be a great hub for associations to expand from and to grow their global reach. That was really where it started.
Okay. And how did you go about making it easy for associations? Because I know a number of years ago, well before you started, it was relatively difficult. And what did you do to change that?
Yeah, this is something we work closely with other organizations such as the tourism and the World Trade Center and the Chamber to be able to consolidate the position of Dubai and make it seamless for others to apply and hopefully be able to be licensed. We get I would say the environment and the regulations together based on the best practices, as my colleague said. And since we started 3 years ago, today we are pleased that we are getting close to the magic numbers which we put for ourselves, 50. Okay. We hope that we'll be able to grow it from there. We learned a lot as we get through this process. We hope, of course, to continue learning from other big centers such as Brussels, Singapore, and others to be able to position Dubai as a major hub for international associations.
Okay. How do you see Dubai Association Centre aligning with Dubai's 2021 vision? And maybe for a number of people, I got a show of hands that a lot of people are here for the first time. So Helal, maybe you'll bring your friends and family back will work. But how do you see that aligning with Dubai's 2021 vision? And maybe you can put an outline on what that is for the new people in Dubai.
I can start saying that we are transforming the economy of Dubai to knowledge-based economy. And within that, we believe that associations can contribute a lot to that in terms of the knowledge and bringing a lot of their expertise in specific areas, especially when we talk about engineering, healthcare, infrastructure, education. And this is where the international associations can definitely contribute to the visions of Dubai, the governments and the leaderships, and start adding back to that. We are, of course, attracting a lot of international conferences and events, and we hope with the presence of the international associations, they can also put their own, platforms over here to be able to promote and support the promotion of Dubai that we are trying to do. One major things we are doing with Dubai Vision 2021 is the major events we are hosting, Expo 2020. Within that, the theme of whether we're talking about innovations, we are talking about opportunities, mobilities, and sustainability, many of these issues are of good reference to a lot of international associations. And we see that can be also opportunities for international associations to be part of Dubai and be able to benefit from who will be here in Dubai at that time, and with the great plans of the tourism departments, we believe that they can expand their memberships into the millions of people in this part of the world.
Okay. Helal, you were involved in the successful Expo 2020 bid. That must have been an exciting time. And how do you see that fitting into Dubai's 2021 vision and the connection through to associations?
First and foremost, we were very humbled to win the Expo, and it was a great experience going through the bidding process. When you look at Dubai and you look at how it has become such a melting pot of so many different nationalities, and for those of you visiting the first time, hopefully you'll get around a little bit beyond the conference center and see that. One of the things that Dubai does very, very well is it is a platform for the wider region. And when I say the wider region, we really look at the sort of 4-hour to 5-hour flight path from here. And given that we have 3 home airlines and a number of airports, we really do connect to almost every city in the region. And that really allows amazing access. And when we won the Expo, and as we've since been talking to the various countries and who participate and corporates and sponsors and everything, really what we hear them playing back what we've been building towards, which is they're coming because they see it as a platform for the region. Whereas in previous expos, if you look, for example, at the very successful expo in China, it was all about China. In Italy, it was all about that part of Italy. This is really about the whole world coming here, and I think from the association's perspective, one of the things we're seeing more and more with the associations that have set up here is the diversity of the member base, which they are gaining from being here. And again, I had mentioned earlier, the drought of knowledge. So when we start, as the economy moves forward, and as this economy starts to, and the region starts to sort of, they're not bogged down by various industrial resolutions and other things, and they start to leapfrog and really try to be at the cutting edge of innovation across sectors. The associations which have come here and set up have really been welcomed, and I think that the regional chapters, are growing from strength to strength, and that obviously excites us a lot, because we see not only the big conferences and everything, but we see so many different workshops, training events, and everything else, which is really refreshing to see, and is what it was intended in the first place.
Okay, fantastic. We asked a question before you gentlemen walked on stage about how likely is it that we think we can have associations, government, education, business, all working together in harmony to help associations achieve their missions. What do you think the UAE is doing to enable that to happen?
The area of private-public partnership, it's one of the strengths in Dubai and United Arab Emirates. And I believe that professional associations can contribute a lot to that. We look at them as the expertise of bringing solutions to a lot of the aspiration of the governments in terms of looking at new areas of innovations, looking at new solutions, providing customers to their services to their customers and citizens. And we hope that this know-how element will be able to get a lot of interest from the public sector and the governments from one side, and they will be able also to bridge the gaps between the academia and the state of arts in terms of know-how, innovations, and get things together. This is a really good testing grounds of what can be done in the whole of Middle East. So we see the government's departments will be welcoming a lot of associations that can really contribute to a lot of their needs. And I understand there will be sessions talking about more details about that, but overall, we see Dubai and United Arab Emirates great models of what can be done in terms of the public-private partnerships.
Okay. Fast forward 25 years. I know we move at a speed of light in Dubai, and 25 years sometimes is an expectation in the next year. But what's the legacy that you want to leave behind? I mean, you helped create this association, effectively, of associations here in Dubai. You know, if you could actually sit back down, relaxed hopefully by then, not on quite so many boards and in quite so many organizations, 25 years from now, what's the legacy? Big question.
It's a big question. 25 years is quite a big jump. I mean, we've been asked to think 10 years ahead so far, and at the moment we're working on what's called 10x, which is, you know, how can Dubai within a few years implement projects which are 10 years ahead. So jumping even further, 25 years. I mean, I think the bottom line is, when you look at those of us who have lived in you know, places that have very well established associations. You know, myself, I joined an association when, you know, after I left college, and you know, since then, a lot of the education, the networking, and everything else that has come out has been linked to that. And what we want to see here is we want to see a legacy, whereas you know, associations that are based here, and by that time I would assume that, you know, most global associations would have a base here. We would like to see them look at Dubai as their hub, so that they have, you know, 20%, 25% of their global membership is based from here, across the region here, and the access to education, innovation, and everything else is really, you know, a step above anywhere else. That's what you know, I would definitely look for. And one of the things that I think some of the associations have seen is a point my colleague said earlier, which is, with such a diverse city that is managed in a very dynamic way, a lot of corporates, associations, education institutes, institutions, they do see this as an area to test, to try, see how things work. How do different nationalities react to it? How do people from different cultures react to it? And I think that's really the way forward.
Okay. I mean, this is obviously a big region, and Dubai is a very safe location to host all of these things in. How do you see this playing out in the rest of the Middle East? We've talked a little bit already about it being a connection, a diverse culture. What are some of the things that the Chamber's doing possibly to really connect to the Middle East region, and how do you see Dubai Association Center fitting in?
When we started the Dubai Association Center here in Dubai, our, I would say, objective was really to fill a gap that we see in the whole world between the major cities in Asia and Europe. We see the professional associations require, whenever they want to be really international, really not to miss out in what's happening not only in Middle East, but Africa, Central Asia, and South Asia. And this is something Dubai really can bring together. We talked about the strategic location. We talked about the connectivity of Dubai, the infrastructure that we have over here. And we believe that the presence of associations over here can definitely fill a gap of what's estimated to be around 2 billion people out of the 7 billion in the whole world. So the presence in Dubai definitely can add the value in terms of being the center of a world that a lot of international associations maybe are not covering. We talked about the hard infrastructure, but also Dubai can bring the soft infrastructure in place. Last night we had a reception, and we talked about one of the really addition or is of attracting a lot of regional conferences here is the ability really to get people within the city of Dubai because of the ease of visas that's happening here, which maybe it's kind of difficult if you look at cities whether in Europe or other parts, even of Middle East or Asia. And this is very, very important, I would say, addition for international associations to cover our part of the world.
That's one of the challenges, was getting people in. What do you think some of the other biggest challenges are going to be for associations? And I'll cut my time frame down to 5 years, so it's a bit more reasonable. What do you think some of the challenges are going to be for associations in the next 5 years? And maybe how can Dubai Association Center help overcome those?
Look, I'm not going to pretend I understand everything associations are going through, but I would probably split my answer into two parts. First of all, when it comes to Dubai itself and setting up here, obviously as associations begin, they would need to very much look at building their membership base here, and in this part of the world, even more so than other parts of the world, everything is mobile. And a lot of places in Africa and a lot of the regional places, and we deal with these countries all the time, whether it's from a tourism perspective, from a conference or exhibition perspective, but definitely from an education perspective as well. It's mobile first, and a lot of these they only have access on mobile. So we've seen a lot of the associations need to come in and think that way as they're communicating with their people. The other thing is obviously the use of the social media platforms that people have become used to in this region, to make sure that the associations are interacting with them, whether it's from a communication perspective or the sort of bite-sized information, the bite-sized education that we get from the associations we're members of. So I think there is that side of things here that would need to really evolve very quickly for those associations that haven't already done that. And the second part would be the event side. Of course, in many cases, in particular sectors, there are not the large-scale events in this region, and of course, associations often like to create those, part of their annual income, and also part of bringing everybody together and their members. And I think that will be the other challenge, to make sure that we work closely with the associations to give them the support to be able to create those sort of anchors that rotate in the calendar, like they have in Europe or like they have in Asia and other geographies. I'm not talking about the once annual big ones, but more the regional ones that they have yearly. Those would be the two areas I would focus on.
Maybe I can also add to what Helal said. Really, staying relevant to your members is very important, actually. Even us in the Chamber of Commerce, we have 210,000 members, and it's very difficult to communicate with when you have these hundreds of thousands of members. And we believe that any membership-based organization have to stay relevant to their members. We have to provide the right services that can keep people engaged within whatever we are doing. Nowadays, the youth, and especially in this part of the world, it's a big population of what everybody is looking at in terms of membership. So you have to be also relevant to your young populations, and most of them are tech savvy, and a major way of communicating with those young, high-tech, I would say, potential members is really to work at the level they are expecting you to work with. This is very important in terms of communication. Another very, very important thing, as I said, maybe, and I repeated more than once, everybody look at international associations to be focused and to be an expert in the area they are in. So nowadays, with what's happening in terms of blockchain and in terms of fintechs and 3Ds, printings and all of these things, whenever people look at relevant associations, they expect them to have that knowledge of all these advancements in technology. So we believe that associations have also to stay up to date with what's happening, to be able to contribute to their membership from one side and to the others, such as the governments from the other side.
So just share, not everybody will know some of the recent appointments, or in the last couple of years, appointments of ministers that Dubai has put in place to help Dubai stay relevant, which helps your association stay relevant, which hopefully helps us help associations stay relevant. I can't say that again. So what I'd love to know is, what are some of those, maybe share for the new people in the region, what some of those ministerial appointments are and why they exist.
Actually, one of the, I've been traveling recently, and many people talk to me about the Minister of Artificial Intelligence. And this is something new, it's happening over here, and this is part of the focus of the country in an area of fast developments that's happening. We believe that, again, our economy is a young economy. Last night we were at the Union House and at the Hamad Museum, and we showed you how this country came together during the past 5 decades. And we are looking forward to continue the fast growing. And to be able to do that, we believe that these new areas, areas of opportunities to be able to develop the economy going forwards. Of course, we have also a Minister of Youth. She is 23 years old. and much younger than most of the audience in this room.
It's annoying, isn't it?
Well, this is really because,
Young.
you know, there is a big number of populations are within that age group, so somebody have to represent them, and that's the minister representing them, and the Minister of Happiness, which is looking at areas of, you know, keeping people
Dubai
satisfied and happy with the services within the governments. So again, these are challenges also in the service providers, business providers, associations of what the country is expecting from what they do.
So what's next? What's the next steps, you know, as we head towards 2020, which felt like it was a long time away before and now seems to be an awful lot closer. What's the next steps, and how can associations get involved with Dubai Association Centre? How can they contribute to Dubai? What do you see the next steps are for associations?
You know, we've spoken a little earlier about the close working relationship between the private sector, the public sector, associations, academia, and people say that everywhere. And I think Dubai is one of the few places where it does actually happen in a very advanced way. You know, whether it's the various government incubators working with corporates and everything else, but when we look towards what does the future bring, in Dubai, you can see we have an accelerated growth both through the Expo 2020, where the whole world will be there from almost every sector, and will be showing what the future is and looking at what the future holds across all of the different you know, discontinuities and disruption that we're seeing today, cutting cross sectors, whether it's AI as mentioned or blockchain or any of the other key disruptors. What I think we will see, especially as we have even more hotel rooms here and even more facilities, is the ease and airlines and easing of visa policies, and everything is going in the same direction. We are seeing more and more opportunities for associations to create the hub here. And we do expect the associations to get heavily involved, both in Expo and with academia and with government, in terms of helping to tackle some of the challenges that the whole region is gonna face, and to share the knowledge across the region. One of the things mentioned by my colleague is that this region, the whole 2 billion people, it's the youngest population in the world. And with that comes responsibility. You know, educating the youth is one of the biggest challenges of the future. And educating the youth, we all know today, is not just about them going to school and university. It's really beyond that. And you know, associations have a big role to play in terms of keeping people ahead of those things.
He said it all.
He said it all. He covered it all for you. So if we were to just kind of like wrap up the mission at the moment so that everybody understands, from Dubai Chamber, what are you focused on over the next couple of years? And not just linked to associations, but the mission that you're given for Dubai Chamber, and the same in a moment, Helal, for DTWC.
Yeah, we just started 2014. However, we have, I would say, big aspiration to be able really to, as I said earlier, fill a gap in the world and contribute to connecting the associations from all over the world and covering very important part that has a lot of demands and requirements. So Dubai Association Center, along with other cities in the world, are part of what we call the global association hub partnerships, including Singapore, Brussels, and Washington, D.C. And when we put that together and we joined it, really we wanted to form a platform for the international associations to network together and benefits from the 4 cities and be able to be global the way they want to be. So we want to continue growing the number of associations, international associations, to really have the right scale. As I said, we started 3 years ago. Right now we have around 50 associations, and we hope to be able to continue that going forwards. We are promoting our member associations not only here in Dubai and United Arab Emirates, but also across the region, where we believe that they can contribute to build a regional network to be able to contribute and grow their own membership base in this part of the world, and be able also to support them in terms of education, in terms of know-how, and connect, of course, with the other stakeholders, not only the governments, but also the academia from the other side. We hope that the associations not only will have presence with us, but be able to contribute to the societies of the Middle East, Africa, and South Asia. And we'll continue. We are very committed, actually, all of us, to grow the associations in this part of the world and contribute to the international associations globally.
Okay, fantastic. Anything to add, Helal?
I don't think I have much to add because he covered it. But I would say, look, if the audience has any questions, I'm happy to take questions from the audience.
They hadn't prepped that. No, you've got to give them at least a pause. That's what I normally do as a leader as well. The lady over there. I think there's some microphones up there, ma'am, or one might come down. Yeah? Do you mind standing up? Thank you. Do you want to just...
You can ask from there.
You can go left or right, and we can repeat your question if you want. There we go. Fixed mics, yeah. Oh.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Sumaya Dabbar. I'm here representing the Royal Institute of British Architects. I'm the chair here, and I have been for the last couple of years, and I didn't know anything about this, so it's so great to know about this and the support that this potentially could give us. Just a question in terms of vision, 25 years. Do you see this exchange of knowledge reaches a point where the knowledge base is here in this region, homegrown, and then, obviously it will impact the region in a much stronger way than having imported knowledge? Is that part of the vision?
Great question. You're awake this morning.
I think it's a very good question. We weren't expecting tough questions. We were expecting easy questions. No, I'm joking. Look, I think the way we see it today, and especially seeing so many knowledge-sharing platforms coming here, is that the answer to your question most definitely has to be yes. And when we say the knowledge is built here, the way we see is that we are in Dubai a platform for the sharing of knowledge, and more, especially when we're seeing the various associations coming, medical associations and others. And when we look at where they're, obviously the scientific committees of these associations, when they have events, when they're calling for papers, we see more and more papers coming from India, from the Middle East, from Africa. If I compare to 10 years ago, if I compare to when we first started getting a lot of these conferences in 2004 and 5, there is already a big transformation. Now, admittedly, it is still very heavily weighted to the sort of Far East and the West, where a lot of the innovation is coming from. But I do think that with the agendas of the governments in the region here and the investments being made towards innovation and towards the education sector, I think more and more will come here. The additional thing is that a lot of the, what we see a lot of is people from the region who have gone to work abroad and gain that knowledge, whether they are in the academic sector or in a professional sector or medicine, they are coming back here and they are doing wonderful things, that they're back. So we are seeing that. And 25 years, as you know, for this region is a very long time. So you've given us a nice timeline to say yes to.
Well, this is my vision for the RIBA, to really have homegrown talent that would build up the environment that we live in. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the question.
Fantastic. Gentlemen, I appreciate that you're extraordinarily busy. It's been fantastic to have you welcome everybody to the inaugural Dubai Association Centre Conference. So thank you very much for your time. Put your hands together, and I'll ask you to, you can take that back to the speaker room with you. Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Oh, one picture.